The first sensation was the sting of thick rope digging into my wrists. The second was the bitter tang of leather pressing against my tongue, tight, unrelenting, strapped to bruise. My head pounded with a dull ache, the world spinning around me in waves. But beneath the haze, my mind was sharp, calculating, colder than ice. Through heavy-lidded eyes, I blinked and forced my breath to steady. Standing a few feet away, wrapped in silk and drenched in smug satisfaction, was a woman I once trusted. She wasn't my wife anymore, not in any sense that mattered. No, what stood there was a traitor cloaked in a smile as cruel as it was triumphant. "Well, cuckold," she said, her voice coated in mockery. "You're finally awake. Perfect. Sit tight and learn what it's like to be with real men." Behind her, two men loomed, half-dressed strangers who acted like they owned the space. Her chosen playthings, her accomplices, and, most importantly, her blind spots. Because none of them knew that everything happening now, every word, every movement, was playing out exactly as I intended. This wasn't the collapse of a broken man. This was the closing of a trap laid with precision. They hadn't captured me. They'd walked right into my game. The two fools laughed and flexed, showing off like drunken boys at a party. She basked in their attention, laughing as though she were a queen surrounded by loyal subjects. They touched her. She moaned for their benefit. They all mocked me where I sat, bound, gagged, silent, exactly as I wanted. Every second was being recorded by the hidden eyes I'd placed days before. Tiny cameras tucked inside ceiling fixtures, behind framed art, even within the smoke alarm above their heads. Silent and watchful, they documented everything. Her gloating, her commands, the men's participation, the sick performance she orchestrated like a director behind the scenes. This wasn't just infidelity. It was a performance of cruelty, psychological torment, coordinated and deliberate, evidence. And with every moan and jeer, they handed me all I needed, for courtrooms, for justice, for war. While they reveled in their game, I moved just slightly, enough to press my tongue against a hidden slit in the gag. There, tucked into the seam, was a razor-thin blade. Invisible, forgotten, mine. The rope was thick, but even thick rope fails when met with patience and a blade. Bit by bit, I worked in silence, millimeters at a time, all while faking feeble movements, letting them believe I was broken, powerless. She came closer, swaying her hips, dripping arrogance. "Ah, my poor husband," she cooed. "Maybe if you pay attention, you'll learn something useful." The men burst into another fit of laughter, loud, careless, final. Because just then, the last strand of rope gave way, and my hands were mine again. My eyes opened fully, my body tensed, and none of them noticed. The rope slid off like shed skin, falling soundlessly. The three of them were too consumed in their depravity, clawing at each other, their attention glued to the spectacle they thought they controlled. She turned to look at me, expecting tears, defeat, maybe even begging. Instead, she met my gaze, sharp, wide open, unforgiving. She saw my hands, no longer bound, and she realized too late that I was already moving. I rose from the chair in one fluid motion, the gag slipping from my mouth and landing on the hardwood with a faint thud. The taller of the two intruders lunged without hesitation. Bad call. I dipped under his reach, drove a brutal elbow into his ribs, and slammed his head into the sharp edge of the marble counter. He crumpled instantly, like a puppet with cut strings. The second man froze, just for a heartbeat, but in moments like these, that's enough. I reached under the table where I'd secured a stun baton with tape earlier that morning. In one swift move, I pressed it to his side. A burst of electricity lit up the room, and his body locked up before collapsing in a twitching heap, a dark stain already spreading down his leg. Then silence. Her silence. She stood there, trembling now, no longer the self-proclaimed queen of the scene. Her lips parted, her voice small and cracking. "Chow? You thought you were clever," I said, my voice low and steady. "You thought this whole twisted show was under your control." I stepped toward her. She backed away, nearly tripping over the limp body at her feet. The fear had replaced her arrogance. "But you forgot something," I continued, eyes locked on hers. The hunter always owns the field. I pulled out my phone, swiped the screen, and turned it so she could see. A live video feed played. Every shameful detail, every malicious word, broadcast in real time to a secure, off-site cloud server. You didn't just betray me, I said coldly. You committed criminal assault. You orchestrated a coordinated attack. You destroyed every promise you made. Her face shattered as the realization hit her. There would be no bargaining, no undoing what she'd done. She backed away, eyes darting, but there was nowhere left to go. The trap had already closed. She had tried to stage a grand public humiliation, but instead, she'd handed me hard evidence, irrefutable, unstoppable, and it was already beyond her reach. I didn't scream. I didn't strike her. I didn't need to. The law would break her more thoroughly than I ever could. The footage showed clear, coordinated abuse, physical and psychological, planned and executed by her. There would be criminal charges, civil suits, and a divorce so swift and stacked in my favor that she wouldn't walk away with so much as a curtain. Her friends? Gone. Her reputation? Destroyed. Her facade of being the good wife? Obliterated. Once my attorney had that footage, it wasn't just private shame. It became official, public, permanent. The fallout began like dominoes. Her employer caught wind first. Companies don't like seeing their staff linked to criminal cases. They place her on leave. Then came the quiet termination, tucked away behind legal jargon. Her social circle vanished just as quickly. Calls stopped. Invitations disappeared. Brunch tables had empty chairs with her name never mentioned again. And the two men? They turned on her in a heartbeat, filing counterclaims to shield themselves. It didn't matter. The storm was swallowing all of them. She tried to reach me. Emails, voicemails, long texts drenched in tears and apologies. She begged for forgiveness, for understanding. She got nothing. No replies. No pity. No closure. Because I wasn't seeking comfort. I was claiming freedom. And it came in a solemn strike of a judge's gavel, final and absolute. In the end, she had played a dirty game, but I had rewritten the rules. When it was over, I wasn't a man bound to that chair. I wasn't the heartbroken husband watching his life unravel. I was the man who rose from the ashes of their betrayal and became untouchable. I left that house behind like shedding rotting skin, found a new place, cut every toxic tie, rebuilt my life on stronger ground, clean, quiet, and completely out of their reach. Success followed. Financially, stable. Career, thriving. Peace, unshakable. And them, the last I heard, she was renting a room in a shared apartment, blacklisted from her field, scraping together the remnants of her old life. The two men she dragged into this, caught in lawsuits and turning on each other, drowning in legal debt. They pointed fingers, pleaded innocence, but no one was listening. When you gamble with treachery, the house always collects. And this time, the house was mine. I didn't chase revenge with rage. I crafted it with precision, and I buried it so deep, they'll taste dirt every time they whisper my name. They thought they were trapping me. But real predators don't growl. They wait. They watch. And when they strike, nothing remains but silence.